Welcome to the UpKeep Pledge Pros Podcast, a podcast dedicated to unmatched value and unwavering support for our customers and the community at large. Today, we have an industry professional. We have a new UpKeep customer, Trent McJunkin, with Oshkosh Defense in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Trent, welcome.
Thanks, Bryan. Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. I know you and I have somewhat known each other for 6 months now or so, social media, LinkedIn. I had a chance to meet some of your team members at Reliable Plant. Awesome, solid dudes. And I wanted to connect with you and kind of bring you on the show here and tell your story, talk about CMMS, and just kind of let people know who Trent is and where he's been and where he's going and what he's doing. So, Trent, give us a little bit of backstory about you and then ultimately where you are now with Oshkosh Defense.
All right. Well, I've been in the industrial maintenance world for, about 14 years now.
Nice.
Uh, right out of high school, actually back up, I was taking a welding course in high school at a high school career center.
Good man.
And I found out that as much fun as welding was, I was not good enough to make money as a welder. Um, so I had to find something else. So I ended up enrolling at a small community college here in South Carolina, Tri-County Technical College,
Nice.
and industrial electronics, and learning the industrial maintenance side of things there. Uh, got a job as an intern working second shift, building motor control centers for Schneider Electric or Square D.
Okay. Yeah.
So learned a lot about the motor control side of things and being able to troubleshoot inside a cabinet, reading schematics. So that was a lot of fun there. After I graduated college, I went to BMW Manufacturing. So I
Nice.
worked for their plant here in South Carolina. I believe they're the largest exporter of vehicles in the country.
Hmm.
So I did equipment maintenance there, worked there for almost a decade. And then since 2021, I've had the opportunity to work at Oshkosh Defense here in Spartanburg and build something from scratch. Um, Coming in here, it was a blank slate. And everything that I read in the best practices books, everything that I listened to on podcasts and all the articles and all the classes, I got to come here and see it. Does it really work?
Hmm.
Been nothing but fun. It's been uphill the whole way, but it's been nothing but fun ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know you're a CMRP, which is
Yep.
great. You took the step. You benchmarked your knowledge against the industry standard, which is wonderful. I've been in very similar situation where I've come into organizations, large organizations, multi-site organizations that have nothing, and everyone's looking at you to go, "Hey, what do we do? Build this, make this." What, So it's definitely it's a mountain to climb, but I think you're well suited to complete that job. So as it's as you're moving through Oshkosh right now, how's everything going as far as your manpower? Are you hiring? Are you building a team? Are you still working on processes? How's that going at this time?
So we're definitely hiring. We're in a launch phase
Nice.
as far as the maintenance department goes. We're still looking for people. It's been great. I feel like a lot of that is the culture that we have built internally and the way we want to run the business and the way we want to invest in our people. We haven't had a shortage of applicants, so I think we're very fortunate there. But the sky's the limit for us, so we're still wide open.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's super important. Having that pipeline of talent. A lot of industry professionals aren't always in a position to pick and choose, who who applies and who they want to interview. So that's a good position to be in for sure. I wanted to ask you, and I want to just, you are now an Upkeep customer. You are in your implementation phase with Upkeep, which is amazing. I know my team on Upkeep's side has been talking about just how well suited and how well prepared you all are in this phase. And talking to you before we jumped on here, talking about a lot of the things you're doing with Upkeep, even though you're not even done implementation, is really, really, really exciting to hear and really, really awesome. So I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you, Trent, is why Upkeep?
Well, I had talked to Ryan Chan back in 2019, I believe, and that's when I heard about UpKeep. And back then, I was at BMW, and we used SAP
Yeah.
across the entire organization. So I knew all the ins and outs of that. And I heard this UpKeep thing, and I thought, this guy's got a really great product. Um, and then never really did anything with that. But I kept up with UpKeep and all the content they put out, and I thought these are good people. They're putting out great content, trying to educate the masses. Then once we came to Oshkosh Defense, we were in the market for CMMS. The existing one that we had was it left us feeling like we were handcuffed. We knew what we wanted to do, but for some reason we couldn't get the software to do that for one reason or another. And I knew that if we were going to be the best in the world, like we want to be, and we want to be the best technicians in the world, the best team in the world, we need to have a CMMS that can get us there. So we started that search for a CMMS that would do everything that we wanted it to do today and 10 years from now that could grow with us and it could scale with us. So we threw UpKeep's name into the hat. We talked to several other companies, and there's a ton of good CMMS solutions out there. But for us, the customer support from day one, we felt like VIPs. We knew that we didn't have a million assets going in. We weren't a huge facility. We were still in our infancy, but we felt like we were the most important people to UpKeep from day one. It was unmatched support, and they understood what we needed. They had people who were in the industry. They understood best practices, and it was easy. It just felt like you were talking to a friend, and
Yeah.
it was great the whole way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great to hear. And that, we hear that sometimes, and sometimes the deciding factor is just having someone on the team that understands maintenance.
Yeah.
And you talk to so many companies, CMMS, good company, good CMMSs, all of them, but there's this unifying factor generally where the people you're talking to they have no idea what you do. They have no idea what you're going through, what your team experience is, what the business is like, what running the maintenance and facilities function of an organization is actually like. It's not like sitting at a desk and working from home. It's not like selling a car. It's not, it is a wild thing, and a lot of times it takes that mutual understanding and that mutual experience to really connect and drive home the value of a system. And we do see that lacking in a lot of our competitors, which is awesome to hear. And another thing is UpKeep is not looking at the size of the account for the amount of value that is derived. It's looking at the value. How much value can we provide to a customer? I think I said this in one of my very early Pledge Pros podcasts with maybe it was Greg Christensen or somebody. Upkeepers, which is the term that we call ourselves if people work for Upkeep, the amount and the lengths that those upkeepers will go to turn the levers, pull the switches, talk to people, get the insight, do all those things for a very simple thing for a customer is completely wild. So much so that I'm like, wow, you guys are really going down a rabbit hole for this thing, you know? So that's always super awesome. And that's so awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's been really impressive, just the internal culture that's demonstrated from the upkeep team. Because in the beginning, you feel like, oh, they're setting us up with the best of the best, and then you talk to 20 different people and you realize, no, this is just how they run the business, and it's refreshing.
Yeah. Well, we're essentially the first in the game when it comes to mobile centric mobile first. So we've had a lot of time to really figure it out,
Yeah.
you know. So keeping on the line of upkeep and CMMS, I wanted to ask you, I know you're not completely soup to nuts rolling yet, but you've done a lot of work in the system. So far, what do you think your favorite part of the system is? Is it the PMs? Is it KPIs? Is it the scheduling? Is it the ease of use, the mobile function? Is it, parts and inventory? Where are you seeing that you're really excited about certain parts?
There's so many. I think different levels, you're going to have different things.
Sure.
At my level, I think just the customizable dashboards are going to be a game changer. But the most important part is the technicians.
Yes.
You said that a bad system beats a good person every time. And if I go out and I hire the best technicians in this part of the country, and I feel like we have the best technicians that I've ever worked with. If I equip them with a bad system, it doesn't matter how skilled they are. But the ease of use for the technician, we had several of them go through the free trial and see, hey, here's how this works. How do you think this would work for you as a technician? Because if I make the decision by myself on a CMMS, then I don't take into account their view. So we involved the whole team, and some that we thought would be really reluctant and really hesitant thought, this is the best thing that I could ever imagine. This is great. This is exactly what I want. It's not this big, scary tablet that's going to be complicated. It's intuitive. It works just like my phone does. So they were sold. It was great.
Yeah, that's extremely valuable. And we always say that we are the input to a CMMS, right? And the
Yeah.
output is from all the inputs that we put in there. So if we're utilizing a system ineffectively, the chances of us getting ineffective information out of it is very high. And being mobile first and equipping and tooling up your technicians to be integrated into the CMMS, they gotta be on point, right? They have to know how to use the system. It has to be easy. It has to enable the way work is done, not force them to do a different thing than they do, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that adoption of the team is the defining factor in most cases when it comes to data. And you mentioned that you like the KPIs, you love the customizable dashboard. Our dashboard goes really deep. So if there's things that you see and you want to go deeper, the chances are you can reach out to our team and they can make it go deeper. Um, but at the end of the day, the signing on, signing off, tracking your time, tracking your parts, tracking your failure codes, tracking uptime, downtime, operational status through the app from a technician is going to drive all those KPIs and all of those metrics. Um, and then on the flip side of that, and I'm sure you're being a strong leader yourself, I'm sure you've explained and you've connected with the team that these things mean something to them, right? They're the ones who are experiencing the real life of your business. And when things are tough or when things are good, you want to be able to make decisions to benefit both of those things. So if they say, hey, we're feeling very, very pressured, we're feeling very, very stretched from our man hours, we feel like we don't have enough time. Okay, great. Utilize the system. I need to be able to see these deltas in time, your plan versus your corrective, your available man hours versus your scheduled man hours of work, right? So all these things can be connected back to the technician. You also start to get into your defect elimination. So, and technicians, you know this, being a technician, you could walk around your plan and ask a technician, say, hey, what's the most pain in the ass machine in this facility? All of them are going to have an answer,
Yeah.
right? And them utilizing the system in their day to day of interacting with that machine will start to uncover that from a data standpoint. And then you start to build all these things that you can push up and say, hey, we need a retrofit. Hey, we need to change the design. Hey, I need more people. Hey, I need a specialized skill set, right? So that is so good. And the fact that you are taking the technician and putting them first, your success is going to be very, very high.
Yeah. And we've tried to leverage that. Um, I think it was Steve Jobs said the most powerful person in the world is a storyteller, and your CMMS is your storytelling software.
Yeah,
If you have an asset that is perpetually on your bad actor list and it's just eating up resources, go to your CMMS. And if you have good data in there, you're going to have your business case to do something about it.
that's
And
right.
if you can get your technicians involved in this implementation stage and get them to understand, hey, here's how this is going to make a difference. Here's how this works. Here's how this makes your job more effective, more efficient, and makes your job easier in the long run. You're going to have however many technicians you have that are champions of that CMMS.
That's right. And they start to have a say in their life in their personal life, particularly if you have a
Yeah.
bad actor machine, I don't know if you guys are 24 hours a day, but every organization I've worked for is 24 hours a day. You you go on a Friday, everyone in that shop is like, I hope this thing does not break this
Yeah.
weekend, right? So when they start to compile that data and all those good things about that asset from a bad actors list, and you know, you can start to drill those things away. And then technicians will start to see, hey, my personal life, my work-life balance is getting better because I am a part of the system, and the system is being leveraged by leaders like yourself to make good decisions on their behalf, right? So you're winning twice. You're controlling and helping your technicians have a strong work-life balance, and you're pushing the business further through its capacity. So that is wonderful. I love hearing that. It's amazing. People are missed often. Technicians, particularly, are missed often in the CMMS phase. And you bringing them in and being like, "Hey, I'm not the pro here. You tell me what makes sense." Right?
Yeah. They're out there turning the wrenches. They're the backbone of the business. And if we can't make them effective, then we just have really talented people who are saddled with a bad system.
Yeah, they're just doing a bunch of unnecessary work in circles. So let me ask you, Trent. We had spoke a little bit about the spare parts. And I know you are currently building out all your bill of materials, ensuring that all those are up to date and correct and all that. And that's amazing. To be honest with you, a lot of people don't even do that, right? So when do you think you'll be kicking off with your spare parts?
So I really feel like by the beginning of Q4, right whenever we go live with UpKeep, we'll have a good bill of material list. That was a big blind spot of ours coming into this whole thing. And we actually brought in William Sloan, and he is the spare part guru.
Yeah, he's a good
Uh,
man. Iridicio.
Great. Yes, Iridicio, great bunch of people, but William Sloan was phenomenal. He brought in the team and explained to us how spare parts should work physically, and that made it so much easier to implement onto the upkeep side because we
Yeah.
know boots on the ground how it needs to work now.
Yeah. I mean, that's action, right?
Yeah,
It's fun. And I have this conversation with a lot of industry professionals. It's fun to talk about all the good things and right things to do, but it's so much more difficult to actually do them.
yeah,
Because you have to know how, right? And you have to have insight, and you have to understand the business, and you have to understand how you want these things to function. And sometimes it takes a little bit of trial and error, and people just are figuring out as they go along, which is okay. But in your case, you said, "Hey, I'm going to bring in a pro, and we're going to tell them exactly how we need to conduct ourselves from a parts and inventory standpoint, and they're going to let us know how we should be doing this."
yeah.
You know, which is great. I just did a webinar yesterday for Upkeep talking about advanced spare parts and inventory materials management. So we talked all about, in-depth understanding of how to manage and maintain an inventory from the most basic things like just setting up the room to, economic order quantities and, all these crazy things that we do on a day-to-day basis. Um, so It's awesome, by the way. And I think I did know that. I think Sean told me that they were helping you guys out, which is sweet. And I
Yeah.
also know Greg Christensen from CMMS Radio,
Yep.
right? Which is awesome. I heard that you may have gotten a gift or are going to be getting a gift from him.
It showed up this morning. So
Awesome.
incredible.
Isn't that awesome?
Greg's a great guy. It's a really cool gift. Greg's one of the best.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I've known him for a little over a year and a half now, I think. I have one too. He made one for me as well. Uh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's good stuff. We're talking about these really, really, really cool LED. I guess they're
It's like an acrylic
yeah, like an
sign.
acrylic light.
Yeah.
So just shameless plug. If you want a very, very, very cool acrylic LED light for your business, reach out to CMMS Radio. He can make them for you. They're amazing. Um, Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail, but he had texted me and he had said that he had sent you guys one, and I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, Greg's a great guy.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, um, when it comes to you talked a little bit about scaling, right? And we find, and I find even before Upkeep, I found very often that when I would consult for people, or I've implemented many CMMS myself for many businesses, that a lot of the thoughts around CMMS are now. What do we got to do now, right?
Yeah.
Which is important, right? Because I mean, it's important, but it's like a triage phase. Like, oh, we don't have anything, or the thing we're using is not working. We got to get something under our belt.
Yeah.
But in that thought process, sometimes we forget, where do we want to be, right? And how can this system be the conduit to where we want to be, and ensuring that that system has the capability to grow with us. It's nice that every CMMS company has tiers, right? You can buy the basic tier, the middle tier, the top, whatever, right? But I also, we have to understand too, is like you can buy the mid tier that suits you now, knowing that that business plus or business whatever is going to meet you in your future when you need it, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to have it now. You just have to know that it exists. Was that something that came up with you when you were doing discovery with Upkeep, is saying, hey, this is where we are, but this is ultimately where we want to be? And did you make sure that we were able to accommodate those things for the future?
Yeah, I knew at the pace that at which we wanted to implement a CMMS, I knew uh, from the help of the upkeep team where we would be as far as the plan goes, and I knew that we may not use all the modules and all the features of the system now, but whenever we are running multiple shifts and we are at full rate, uh, the we haven't outgrown our system,
Right.
which is what we had with a previous CMMS. Is we're doing more than the system's capable of already, which is a very frustrating and scary place. If you're a maintenance manager,
Right.
you essentially have just a brick tied to you that you're
Yeah.
carrying around. But knowing that the system is readily available and it can scale with us is such a relief.
Yeah. It definitely helps. And it's good. It's good to understand where you want to be. Do I want to connect to PLCs in the future? Do I want to run any kind of machine learning through something, right? A business intelligence unit, right? I know Oshkosh is a funny story about Oshkosh, Trent. I don't think I've ever told you this. When I got out of the Navy, I was going to go work I got hired like upon a contract for Lockheed Martin to be at FSR for their Joint Light Tactical Vehicle. This is like 2013 or something, right?
Yeah.
My employment was contingent upon the contract. And it turns out they didn't get the contract. Oshkosh did. So I never got that job. I went and worked for Caterpillar instead. But I
Yeah.
just thought that was really funny that I was going to be working on the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle as an FSR, and then Oshkosh got the contract, and then my job just disappeared.
Yeah.
Do you have any? You're in the Spartanburg facility, building certain types of equipment, and then Oshkosh has several other locations. I mean, all around the country, right?
Yeah. Oshkosh Corporation is huge. We are in so many different markets and we have so many different segments. Uh, if it is used to build or maintain the infrastructure, we're probably in that segment. It's a great company, and we have so many different things that we do and different things that we build. It's
Right,
great. It's been a great company to work for so far.
right. And how long have you been with Oshkosh now?
So we're coming up on a little under 3 years. October will be 3 years.
Nice, nice. And have you been the facilities and maintenance manager all 3 years?
Yes, I was actually the first local hire.
Oh,
So I
cool.
came in and it was an empty building. So
Nice.
it was really fun to see everything progress and scale the way it
Right.
did.
That's awesome. And here's a question, because I've been a part of organizations where I walk in and all the machines are already bolted to the floor and we have nothing up for them. Were you involved in any kind of commissioning or design, maybe like consulting about how things should be made before the machines were delivered?
We did a lot of the commissioning. We were involved a lot there. Most of the design was already completed by the time that I joined the team, but we did have some say as far as, hey, maintenance access needs to be here. I need this to be able to maintain this properly. And everybody was really receptive to that.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Yeah. When the machines get bolted to the floor, half your reliability is already determined for you, right?
Yeah.
And I've been a part of organizations where the company loves for the entire organization, from a maintenance standpoint, engineering, safety, operations, to have a say in those types of things. And then I've been with other organizations where it's like, we don't care, you're going to get what we deliver. So it sounds like you had the better of those two.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So, where do you think, actually, let me see. So we have implementation that's going to be wrapping up in a couple months, right? And I know we don't need to talk about what you make or any of that stuff, but I know that there's some pretty aggressive capacities that you're trying to reach with your manufacturing line. Um, how do you feel? How do you feel about that? Do you think by that time you will have the necessary manpower and CMMS structure, maintenance structure to achieve that?
I feel like we've been able to meet every challenge head on so far. The team is super talented, and now we have a very strong CMMS. And as we continue to grow, we'll continue to meet every challenge, no matter what it is.
Nice. And so who's going to be utilizing the CMMS? So it's going to be, do you have a planner, a scheduler? I know you have a supervisor.
Yep. So we're going to have a few supervisors, and we'll have a planner.
Okay.
But even production supervisors, uh, obviously the technicians, but they'll be able to enter work. Um, we're going to be able to make it as inclusive as we can so that we can get the most out of the system. We don't want to have work orders generated via email or text message or anything like that. We want to try to capture everything within UpKeep.
Nice. That's awesome. That's good stuff, man. I love to hear it. I love to hear that these things are thought out and they're planned before you start fooling around. Um,
Yeah.
and there's so much value in that. And the chances of I mean, I know you're going to be successful, but in most cases, the chances of that success are so high. And it's just great. I don't even have anything else to say about it. It's just great. It's amazing. I love seeing it because I've seen the other side of it, which is like we're getting a CMMS because we want to have PLCs push predictive work orders to Billy, who's on shift, who sits in a folding chair in the MCC room watching his phone so that he can get alerted when a machine's broken.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of problems with everything you just said.
Yeah.
You know? Um, so it's super great to hear. And we at Upkeep we are so thankful for your partnership with us and the professionalism of your team. I mean, like I said, I met some of them. They've been great. I'm trying to come down there soon, spend some time with you and your team, really chop it up, really get to the bottom of maintenance reliability, and just really drive as much value for you as we possibly can. But Trent, I want to give you the last word. How can people get a hold of you if they'd like to talk maintenance, say hi, anything like that?
Definitely the best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. Just search my name, and I'm always looking to add to my network and understand more things about maintenance and reliability best practices, and even lend some info that I may have learned along the way.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's always good. I know when I'm teaching somebody something, I'm learning at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever want to really master something, teach people how to do it.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Trent, I just want to thank you again on behalf of Upkeep. Thank you. I will be seeing a lot of you moving forward. We've been talking to your team. I know my team on the Upkeep side is stoked. They are at this moment probably plugging away for Oshkosh. So I just want to thank you again, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, Brian.
You're very welcome. See you, man.
See ya.